Billionaire businessman Elon Musk and Germany's president visit kibbutzes in Israel, while NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg calls for truce in Gaza to be prolonged ahead of the two-day extension. Nearly 2 million people are without electricity in Russia-annexed Crimea and occupied regions of Ukraine in what officials are calling a deadly megastorm.
Italy's famed Mount Etna has erupted again, ejecting lava and ash into the Sicilian sky, dazzling onlookers.
Paul Lynch wins the Booker Prize for his novel about a woman's struggle to protect her family as Ireland collapses into tyranny and war.
The controversial owner of the social network X, Elon Musk, and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at one of the more than 20 kibbutzes in Israel targeted by the Hamas militant group on the 7th of October. This after the multi-billionaire was criticised for promoting an alleged anti-Semitic post on his platform, prompting several companies and even the European Commission to suspend advertising campaigns on the site. Ahead of the announcement that the truce in Gaza would be extended by 2 days, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg made his views known at a press conference in Brussels.
I call for an extension of the pause. This would allow for much needed relief to the people of Gaza and the release of more hostages. The suffering we have seen underlines the need for a lasting political solution.
Back in Israel, the president of Germany, Franz-Walter Steinmeier, who visited another kibbutz with Israel's president Isaac Herzog, announced Berlin will donate €7 million to the reconstruction of arts and meeting centres destroyed by Hamas. High waves and gale force winds batter Russia's south coast in what authorities are calling the storm of the century. 2 deaths have been reported. Rescuers have evacuated more than 350 people from their homes amid severe flooding. In Crimea, almost 500,000 people have been left without power. 1 person was killed in the region. Roofs and cars were also damaged by falling trees. This after the same weather front hit Romania and Moldova on Sunday. The Russian-installed government has declared a state of emergency and told residents to stay at home. At an aquarium in Sevastopol, the largest city in Crimea, around 800 exotic fish and sea creatures died after the room they were in was flooded. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall has affected large parts of Ukraine. At least 2,000 villages and towns across the country are without electricity. Emergency services and police were called to assist some 840 vehicles stuck in the snow. At least 3 people have died in Odessa after reportedly freezing to death. President Vladimir Zelensky also called on people to remain vigilant and expressed thanks to soldiers on the front fighting for Ukraine's freedom, despite the difficult conditions at Kupiansk, Avdiivka and Zaporizhia. More heavy sleet, rain and snow cover are forecast.
Italy's famed Mount Etna has erupted again, ejecting lava and ash into the Sicilian sky. Activity has intensified in the past 3 days since its eruption on November 19th. The National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology of Catania says this phenomenon, which we call Strombolian activity, is defined by short sequences every 10 to 30 minutes.
Questo tipo di attività che caratterizza la cima del nostro vulcano ce lo rende amico in un certo senso, perché si tratta di attività eruttive mai pericolose, molto spettacolari, a cui la gente si affeziona, diciamo così. Ecco, sono attività molto belle da vedere.
Officials say about 1 million people live in Mount Etna's direct vicinity. There are cleanup efforts when needed, and earlier this year the volcano's eruption closed a nearby airport after ash covered the runway. Heavy rain and strong winds caused major flooding in Turkey over the weekend. The western, southern and northern regions were all hit by atrocious weather. Meteorological authorities issued an orange code for the Antalya region. The storm brought down many trees, giant waves formed on the beach and some boats were damaged. Heavy rain also paralysed traffic. After the storm in Izmir, the sea overflowed, some coastline neighbourhoods flooded and many boats tied to the shore sank. The Greek Coast Guard has recovered a body after a ship sank in gale force winds off the Aegean island of Lesbos. Hopes are fading for 12 other missing people. One crew member was found clinging alive to a barrel in the sea. The ship's captain first reported a mechanical failure on Sunday evening and later issued a Mayday distress signal before disappearing from the radar. The vessel is believed to have taken on water in the hold due to strong waves, causing it to list and sink.
After nearly 3 decades, the world's largest iceberg is on the move, the British Antarctic Survey has warned. The A23A has remained stranded on the seabed for almost 30 years, but it has now entered the Antarctic Circumpolar Current with an area twice the size of Greater London. UN's chief Antonio Guterres recently paid a visit to Antarctica to observe melting glaciers. He called for countries to act now to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius to protect people from climate chaos.
In the center of Florence hangs a terracotta relief that has inspired residents for centuries. The image of the Madonna was created more than 600 years ago, but it was only attributed to the Renaissance sculptor Donatello in 2009. After the discovery, the owners of the building where it originally hung sold the relief to Rome. They then commissioned a copy of it, so newcomers to the street will have the same view as their forebears.
Erano legate affettivamente a quest'opera e comunque quest'opera faceva parte del condominio. Chiunque camminava per queste vie di Firenze poteva vedere, si trovava davanti un Donatello, che era una delle particolarità di Firenze.
Similar to many other artworks depicting religious scenes, Donatello's Madonna was meant to watch over the inhabitants of the homes that surrounded it, a tradition that dates back to the medieval times.
Quello che è assolutamente singolare di questa storia è che fin dall'Ottocento tutte queste opere, o la maggior parte, sono state ritirate, musealizzate o comunque messe in sicurezza, e invece la Madonna di Via Pietapiana fino a tempi recentissimi, per quella che è la sua vicenda storica, era all'esterno di un condominio di una strada trafficata fiorentina e nessuno se n'era accorto.
Dopo alcuni secoli di permanenza sulla facciata di un palazzo, in una strada trafficata del centro di Firenze, la scultura del grande maestro rinascimentale torna al suo luogo più naturale, a soli 500 metri di distanza, al Museo del Bargello.
It now helps visitors understand the scope of Donatello's work and how he inspired future artists.
Donatello partecipa con Brunelleschi e Ghiberti alla riscoperta della terracotta come la lavoravano gli antichi romani, leggendo le fonti, ma soprattutto per realizzare opere anche di grandi dimensioni, e quindi aveva una grande abilità di proprio modellazione.
Donatello's Madonna has since found its new home, enriching the already precious collection at the Bargello Museum. The Dutch National Opera and Ballet has put 10,000 costumes and clothing items on sale, including everything from props to hats and shoes. The costumes have been used in around 60 productions, such as Marco Polo and Don Giovanni. Some of the items are very specific, so can't be reused. Another reason for the sale is lack of storage space. 5,000 tickets for this sale in Amsterdam sold out in just a few hours.
Maybe a bit of an idiot here.
Irish author Paul Lynch has been awarded the prestigious 2023 Booker Prize for his novel Prophet's Song, a dystopian fiction about Ireland descending into tyranny. The 46-year-old wrote the book during COVID-19 lockdowns and has described it as an attempt at radical empathy, aimed at plunging readers into the experience of living in a collapsed society.
I specifically didn't articulate the politics because then the book would have been about the politics, and I wanted this book to be about the family. I wanted to take the Iliad and turn it inside out, and when you do that, all the politics and all the heroics and everything that's foregrounded disappears. And what are you left with? You're left with Ellie and her family.
Lynch is just the 5th Irish author to win the prize, which has propelled to fame countless household names, including Margaret Atwood.
A satirical play about Russian President Vladimir Putin facing a war crimes tribunal is making waves in Bulgaria. The Hague pictures Russia's top brass at the International Court of Justice over the war in Ukraine.
Когато Галин ми предложи, не знаех, че Путин се играе от жена, казах, как така? Ще бъде малко трудно да се правя на мъж и какъв е смисъл. След това разбрах обаче, че той е съвсем по друг начин заложено.
The script is constantly evolving to keep up with reality, which proves challenging for the troupe.
Беше загинал и в течение на репетициите. Първо имахме един готов текст, след което стана така наречения метеж, поход към Москва, или както го наричат. И на следващия ден му казахме, гледай, какво правим? Става много напечено. Вкарахме някакви реплики, той говори с Саша Денисов, вкарахме някакви реплики за метежа, след което...
The play is dividing Bulgaria, a country historically close to Russia, where many are nostalgic of the Soviet Union.
Пиесата се приема така, както сме очаквали да се приема, с така доста полярни мнения, но това е смисълът на един такъв тип театър, според мен.
The director hopes to soon play in the Bulgarian countryside known for its pro-Russian sentiment.